Greetings, class. Being from North Carolina, for my presentation this week, I want to talk about New Bern, North Carolina, and the Tryon Palace. Now, New Bern was actually the capital of colonial North Carolina, and the Tryon Palace, or the Governor's Palace as it was initially known, served a critical role as the official residence and the administrative headquarters for the British governors of North Carolina. Now, in the years preceding the Revolutionary War, North Carolina Governor William Tryon increased taxation in order to pay for this new construction of the Governor's Palace, a project that, along with the other taxation policies at the time, greatly disgruntled North Carolina citizens, which actually led to a citizen revolt and eventually the Battle of Alamance in 1771, where Alan Taylor, a historian, in his text American Colonies, noted that Tryon actually led a group of Loyalist militia to combat the local Patriots. And the events concluded with Tryon overseeing the hanging of 7 men. And eventually Tryon would receive a promotion to the New York Governorship later in that same year. Now, at the beginning of the Revolutionary War, the Governor's Palace actually was overrun by local Patriot militia, which forced the then governor, Josiah Martin, to flee the palace completely, making him the first ever royal governor to abandon his post. And kind of in a funny story here, noted by the Tryon Palace Commission, the American Patriots would actually go on to take all of Martin's possessions that he left on the property and sell them to help initiate their new independent state. The palace would then go on to be established as the House of Government in 1776, and it would later be used for the General Assemblies after the war had concluded. Now, in the years following the war, the decision was made to move the capital to a more centralized location in the state of North Carolina, resulting in the capital of Raleigh. This left Tryon Palace to be utilized as a school and later a boarding house before ultimately being largely lost to a fire in 1798. And for over a century, the property would sit essentially unused and would actually be built over in many different ways until a colonial preservation movement in the mid-1900s led by a local New Bern woman by the name of Maud Moore Latham. And they would actually establish a Tryon Palace Commission in 1945 by the State General Assembly, and they would oversee the rebuilding of the palace grounds exactly to the original plans, thanks to a discovery in 1953 of a palace inventory that was written by the original governor, William Tryon himself. And so the project would take place over a number of years, in large part due to difficulties with tearing down or moving existing structures that had been built over the grounds, including roads and houses as well that had to be moved in order to restart the construction. And so the palace was actually reconstructed in its entirety, and the palace grounds were redone, and the project was completed and opened to the public, the Tryon Palace Historical Site, in 1959. It has been fully restored to its former elegance. It has furniture from the period and everything, and it's now open to guided tours and reenactments all throughout the year. And for years now, the Tryon Palace Historical Site has served the community in a variety of fashions, with several scholars noting its importance. A scholar by the name of Paul Fitzpatrick, in his text, Tryon Palace, New Bern, North Carolina, the Royal Governor's Residence, talks about the social impact and education that it provides us, and how the original construction angered the local residents, and how it has served the community in recent years. And another scholar by the name of Frederick Allen, in his article, Christmas at the Palace, notes the cultural and educational influence that Tryon Palace offers today in having open tours, in doing Revolutionary War reenactments, and educating the local public all throughout the year. Now, personally, I have visited the site myself with my wife, and I have to say, given the palace itself, as well as some of the other areas around, the local homes and things have actually been redone to the historical period as well. And it makes for a great place to take a class to learn a lot about local North Carolina history, as well as American Revolutionary history as well. Thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to our continued study.